Hello and welcome back to the Hoops Crush podcast. Today is episode number 10. As always, I'm joined with Eric. Today we'll be talking about our beloved 6 and 16 Portland Trailblazers, get into some other things that are going on in basketball tonight, like Giannis going after the Pacers, all sorts of stuff. So Eric, before we get any further, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself? Are you all done with your Christmas shopping, or you still got some left?
No, still got a lot left. So
Yeah.
I'm more of a last second guy. How about yourself?
I actually got most of it done already. Been trying to do it more towards like Black Friday and stuff. So as I got older, get the deals and all that. But yeah, I think
Yeah, so it's
other than
always
a
great to
few
plan
little
ahead.
things, yeah.
Yeah, good
I
job.
when I was your age, I was like December 24th going to the store trying to
I won't be
find
doing
something.
that. Christmas Eve, I will not. I'm not that kind of last second guy.
Yeah,
That's crazy. If anyone's, you're a psycho if you do that. But maybe like 21st or something like that. We'll maybe put.
yeah.
But other than that, of course, since we last talked, we played 2 games: the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. In both games, we're competitive. We keep games close, but we never seem to close them whatsoever. I mean, I guess if there's any moral victories, you can go ahead and say that. I know a certain someone is tired of the moral victories. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, obviously. But we played the Dallas Mavericks, and of course, we're in Portland for this one. And for the most part, I felt like at the beginning, the biggest takeaways for me from this game is I thought we did a decent job on Luka Doncic at first. Tamani Kamara was kind of, obviously get him some problems, and then we showed him some doubles, and then, obviously can't keep him down forever. Scores 32 points, and then Kyrie Irving gets hurt in this one. Dwight Powell, friendly fire, actually falls on his leg. It looked absolutely gnarly, but it doesn't sound like anything too serious, like it's going to keep him out for the season. But
There was some weird so the Blazers broadcast, I don't know if you're listening to that one or not, but they actually reported that Kyrie left the arena in a wheelchair or something. And then came out later that that wasn't true. I don't know how they got that information or why they thought or said that. But yeah, thankfully for Kyrie, he's not more seriously hurt. It looks like it's just a bone bruise or something.
yeah, I do believe I remember Kevin Calabro saying that, I believe, who said he left in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I do remember that. And then I also remember seeing on Twitter someone was like, why did the Blazers broadcast say that? Why are they lying or something like that? And I don't
Mhm.
know. Obviously we have no idea where they got that from. So who knows? But then Dante Exum, which I'm going to be talking about him a little bit later, just to
Yeah.
throw a little hint, torches us for 23 points. And then if you watched last night, the man became a legend again in the fourth quarter. But other than that, obviously Simons and Sharpe continue to look great, which is awesome. And now we're starting to get conversations. It sounds like that. Did we even need a draft Scoot? Like, why did we even take Scoot? And it's interesting how the tides had turned. Or I'm saying it wrong, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah,
it's
for sure.
But what are some of your biggest takeaways from this Mavericks game?
Just can't get in a hole early. Thought we did a good job of stabilizing it once we were down, but when you get down 15 in the first quarter, I just could never really seem to get back close enough to make it a game. Um, but yeah, it's good to see Anfernee and Sharpe continue their hot streaks through both of these games. And yeah, just need a little bit uh better defense, I guess, as a whole. And then offensively, felt like these last 2 games we've done okay offensively, outside of certain stretches. But yeah, for the most part, I think they've been playing okay.
Yeah, definitely. But then obviously we played the Clippers the next night, and LA is a place we're known to get blown out at. And unless you had something else to say, I don't know.
No, I was just saying, like next game. You said next night, but
Oh yeah, next game. Sorry, not next night.
no, it's okay.
Yeah, next game we play the Clippers. We usually go to LA and get absolutely obliterated, but I mean, if you've seen the trend, we keep every game close. It has felt like, and of
Hmm.
course that remains the same here. With this Clippers game, we played them really close. It ends up being a very high-scoring affair. Sharpe and Simons, of course, go off again for 27 and 38 apiece. Scoot Henderson, I thought he was going to get his first 20-point game of the season, but only finishes with 19. And then
Still good though.
yeah, still good, of course. But obviously, one thing I remember is Simons definitely had a lot of interesting mistakes down the stretch. And then, of course, The ball goes out of bounds. They review it, and they give the Clippers the ball, and that was pretty much all she wrote for us. So, but yeah, unfortunately, just another crunch time mistake. It's basically what it's always boiled down to.
Yeah, the offense just got too stagnant at the end where it just went Anfernee Simons ISO heavy. I believe we talked about this before, Brady, but I don't understand at the end of these games how we're not running something or trying to get Sharpe involved. I think we need to find a way to get him a couple of these shots instead of Anfernee trying to take over the game. I mean, Anfernee can score, and we've seen him do a great job of that, but that can't be your only offense, and you need to spread it out between both of them because uh, Sharpe has not only been uh, scoring the ball, but he's been doing it really efficiently. So you need to take advantage of that and try to get him some better looks instead of freezing him out of the offense at the end.
Do you think that's just like by design by Chauncey to just have Simon's ISO ball, or do you think that's like more Simon's making those decisions?
I think it's I don't think they're like, "Oh, let's keep Sharpe away from the ball and like
Yeah.
not give it to him." I just think I mean, it's weird because they said they weren't going to do that this season where like one person has the ball and controls the whole game at the end. That's one of the things they tried to gush about at media day about how Dame not being here will free them up to have be less predictable and they can do all these things and move the ball and all this stuff. So I don't think it's by design. But it also seems like in those situations they're calling for ISOs for Anfernee or pick and roll with Anfernee. So I think they need to realize that they that is too predictable in my opinion because Anfernee isn't Dame yet and he just came back from an injury, so you could tell he was getting tired and at the end of games, and so he needs to be back into full game shape before he can handle like it takes so much energy to like create offense, especially in the crunch time, like play after play after play, and that's one of the reasons why our defense suffered in previous years with Dame and stuff is just like the amount of effort it takes to create a shot against a defense that's gearing up to stop you every single time down the court. I think you need to look at different ways to spread the wealth, and it's a little bit tougher when Grant's not there, Brogdon's not there, Aiton's not there, so there's not a lot of options. But when you only have two really good options and you're not using one of them for the last few minutes of a game, it just I don't understand. I think they should maybe I don't know if it's take turns or whatever, but they need to design some action for both of them, and then it also makes it so the defense can't just key on Anfernee and just leave everyone else.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could totally be mistaken, but I feel like this game got away from us like on 3 straight Moses Brown plays where he just like gets the ball in the paint and then loses it, if I remember correctly.
I don't think the game got away at that point, but I mean, Moses had some good moments in this game, provided some good minutes for a while. But yeah, in the fourth quarter, we had several possessions that we turned the ball over, wasted either throwing a bad pass to him or, like you said, fumbling the ball.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, I'm honestly happy with the result. I mean, if we're just gonna keep games competitive all season and lose every time, I don't think that's a terrible thing for us. Especially since the Warriors are also having their own problems. We could be going to the off. I know it sucks to be rooting for stuff like this, but it's just kind of the reality where we're at. I mean, we're gonna need some off seasons to build this thing back up. And the draft lottery, of course, is always a great start, especially if you can hit on some picks. We've hit definitely on Shaedon Sharpe, which is fantastic. Tamani Kamara, obviously we didn't draft him, but getting him in that trade has been absolutely amazing. Jabari's had his moments this year, so I like our young core a lot, and there's definitely some things that we're excited about. But at the end of the day, obviously we'd love to be maybe a play-in team and be shocking the world right now, but unfortunately, it's just not looking like it's going to be that way. So if we're just going to keep every game competitive and lose, I'm not very mad at it, I guess, if that's what I'm trying to say. Of course, I want to get worse at the deadline because I think it makes sense to, but And maybe that changes things. But right now, obviously, we're keeping games competitive without Aiden and Grant. So I don't know. And then Brogdon's missed some time as well. But
So you think it'll be the same once we get those guys back, or what?
that's a good question.
Be
Because
harder to
Simons,
lose.
Simons and Aiden haven't played together, right? Obviously,
They played the
since
first game, yeah.
yeah, first game of the season, and then when Simons comes back, Aiden randomly is now hurt as well.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like obviously those three guys, and in theory, should help us win some games, but I don't know. It just feels like we just keep every game competitive and then just find a way to lose. It's just been a lot of unfortunate moments down the stretch, whether it be for refs or bad turnovers or whatever it may be. It's just always something goes wrong, and it sucks because obviously you want to see our young guys close these games out, but every time it's been something, man.
So speaking of the Warriors pick you just mentioned, did you, what did you thought? What did you think when you saw him twirl around and punch Nurkic in the face? Were you watching the game
I was
live?
I
Or
was watching the game at first, and then I ended up turning it off, going to
yeah,
do something else, and then I see a clip
so
of
you
it
heard
on.
about?
Yeah, I just heard about it. I was like, "What on earth is he doing?" And he
Yeah,
says he didn't intend to, but I like a lot of people have asked, like, what was he intending to do? Like, I know he said that Nurkic grabbed him in the hip or whatever, so he was trying to like draw a foul, I guess, and he uses his arms to do so, but it just looks so bizarre and
I
weird
know.
that like you do that. And it didn't make any sense to me. And obviously, if this was just some random guy that did it, then that's different. But it's Draymond
Hmm.
Green for crying out loud, so his reputation is going to, this is a guy that punched his own teammate. So everyone's going to immediately think that this was intentional because the reputation that he has. And now he is, of course, suspended indefinitely. It sounds like it'll be similar to what, John Morant went through, where he has to go through steps to get back on the court at first. Obviously, it's been different now since he did it again,
Hmm.
Ja's situation. But yeah, man, I don't know. What's your thoughts on it? It's so crazy.
Yeah, I just don't get what his intentions were if it wasn't to to hit him, and you maybe are just flailing because he does do that. He flails all the time, but like he spins and has like a fist like right to his face. Like I don't know how you can. Um, I mean, the guy just gets set off way too easily, and he has issues, and they need to be corrected. And I applaud the NBA. Hopefully, it's not one of those things where an indefinite suspension is only like a couple of games because, I mean, this guy, I I got to be honest. Like, I don't mind like the drama of like fights and things like that during a game or like, um, like arguments or getting heated, and I like the whole drama of that. I like the back and forth. I like trash talking and rivalries and players not liking each other and going at each other on the court. But what Draymond's been doing, I mean, he chokes out Rudy Gobert for like no reason. He didn't even have to choke him out, right? He's got a history of kicking people in the balls. He just does all kinds of dirty stuff that has it's just like reckless, and I don't like that part of it. I don't understand. I don't think there's any place for those kind of antics in the league. I mean, if you're gonna be mad at someone, like turn around and get in his face and fight him square on. Like don't twirl and punch him like that. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I think uh, as from a Blazers point of view, yeah, it's great. Sit them out for 25 games. Hopefully, their young guys don't step up, and we can improve our positioning for the pick that they owe us. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy, man. Like I don't understand why people like him just can't seem to hold themselves back from doing stuff like that, and it's become a real problem.
Yeah, definitely. Draymond Green, he has his own podcast, and outside of some of his antics, he has a pretty cool personality. But
Yeah.
I almost like totally forgot he also did the Gobert thing this season. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that's
He got
another,
suspended 5 games for that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think obviously this is why the NBA is acting in an indefinite tone. And I've seen some people talk about him being suspended the rest of the season. I thought that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't know
But
about that,
I
but
don't know. That sounds kind of wild to do that.
mhm.
And definitely, obviously, who knows what that really means? It doesn't give you an exact timetable. I think it's just, I could see it being like 5 to 10 games, probably, maybe even less than that. Just obviously, the I feel like Draymond's gonna do whatever he needs to do to get back on the court. I don't see him, obviously. I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, it was bizarre. And Draymond, I'm not really sure. And then obviously Nurkic gave a great quote, that brother needs help. So shout out to Nurk for that. That was funny. But yeah, it's been a
Well,
crazy couple days, man.
they're both clutch guys, and Nurk's defended Draymond in the past on social media and stuff, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is. It's weird. I mean, I know maybe it's just a frustrating season for the Warriors so far, and Draymond just had it. I don't know. I don't
Hey,
know.
there's your next video idea. Warriors finally move on from Draymond rebuild.
Yeah, I could do that, man. But I don't know.
I
Every
don't
time I
know what
do,
they're getting for him, but
yeah. And there was someone. He's I forget his name, but he posted a trade that people were freaking out about where Draymond's
uh,
headed to Dallas. I'm like, bro, the Mavericks are not doing that.
yeah,
Like Lively involved. Like he's been great for them this season. So yeah.
was that Sam Quinn or something like
Yeah,
that?
Sam Quinn. I'm usually not a fan of his proposals that I've seen for the most part, but obviously, maybe he'd watch my videos. It probably doesn't, obviously, but maybe he would be a fan of my trade. So like, everyone has their own opinion, but yeah, I thought that trade was absolutely horrific. So, yeah,
Yeah, Mavs are doing that.
yeah, definitely not. Lively's been awesome for them.
Yeah, I
But
think at
then
this point the Warriors would be lucky to get out of his contract, let alone get
yeah,
like actual value for him.
yeah, the Warriors they're in an interesting spot because obviously, Clay hasn't been great this season, and I saw this morning. I don't know how true this report was that, or I think it was from Shams actually that said it, so it probably was true that they offered him an extension at the beginning of the season and he declined it, or it didn't get accepted or whatever. So now talks are,
Clay,
yeah, Clay.
yeah. Well, apparently he wants a max or a super. I think he's eligible for a super max or something, and they're yeah, obviously they're like, dude, you're you're not the player you were. We can't afford to give you a max with the salary cap rules and stuff. So um, it'll be interesting to see what happens if they finally move on from some of those guys and go a little younger around Curry, because I can't see them ever getting rid of Curry. But Clay and Draymond, I I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're them. If you try to hold on just as long as possible with those guys and reward them for the 4 championships, or if you like try to give Curry one more legitimate shot to win a ring. Because Clay, man, he has not been playing well either.
If I'm the Warriors, I try to give Curry another chance, which is, Bob Myers reiterated that, on TV the other day that this is why he left. He didn't want to have to make these decisions because, he has a personal connection with these guys. And, they won championships together. So,
Do you think that's like kind of a chicken way out, or do you?
yeah, I mean, in a way, based off what they did, I can kind of understand why Bob Myers is like, okay, I don't want nothing to do with what's next. I just want
Mhm.
nothing to do with it. I can understand in a way, but as we know, the NBA is a business, so him stepping down sounds a little kind. I don't want to say weak, but obviously it's like you said, maybe a chicken way out of the
Mhm.
situation. But hey, if he didn't want anything to do with trading those guys and didn't want to have to make those decisions, then I guess I can kind of understand where he's coming from.
Well, the new GM, if like he had orders to trade him, like Draymond and Clay, and the new GM um, didn't do it either. So I'm assuming he didn't have like specific orders to do it. And in fact, it's maybe the opposite, that the ownership maybe wanted to keep that core as long as possible. But yeah, I will say it's kind of weak, but I mean, you built it and stuff. You're not gonna. I don't understand why some people think like, oh, my legacy will take a hit if I have to like suffer or bad for a few years or whatever. Like everyone knows that you can't players don't play forever and you can't win every year. But I mean, he got 4 titles. You can't really. then be like, oh, I'm out. I can't deal with having to trade them or keep them or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting. I'm curious to see what the Warriors do. I don't really see them getting anything crazy in return for Clay or Draymond either. Like, I feel like it's more likely going to be that those guys are like salary filler rather than the main pieces of the trade because Clay has been great this season. Draymond, of course, has his problems, and he's not the same player he used to be. So I it it's gonna be interesting. I mean, Clay could be traded somewhere, but then again, how much is Steph gonna like that? It's I mean, we could very well watch the Warriors implode this year. I mean, they're already off to not a great start at 10-13. But I'm as Blazers fans, we just sit back and enjoy the ride. So not only are
Yeah.
we in disaster, but so are the Warriors, which is good for us because we hold their first round pick this year. Other than it being protected, obviously, a little bit.
Yeah, and speaking of drama, so tonight Giannis scores 64, career high, and then afterwards, I guess he went to get the game ball as like a memento from his best game, and apparently the Pacers didn't want to give it to him, or like one of the assistant coaches took it and ran off with it or something, and then him and Halliburton were yelling at each other, and I don't know exactly what happened, but uh, more drama in the NBA.
Yeah, I only saw a couple clips like right before we started recording because I was just now hearing about it. I was like, damn, Giannis actually dropped 64 tonight. And I saw some people saying that he was doing it in garbage time. Don't know how true that was. So,
Oh, so they were I think they were up 10 with like a minute or two left, and out of a timeout they brought him back in the game. And at one point they were up 19, I think, in the fourth quarter, and he was still out there trying to stat pad and hunt points. Yeah.
so I'm assuming that's why the Pacers take the ball because they felt disrespected, maybe. And then obviously, all I see is Giannis trying to be held back by his
Mm.
coaches, and he just sprints towards the locker room. So not really sure what's gonna happen from that situation. There's probably more clips I need to see before I can fully give my take on it. But yeah, very interesting. I mean,
Well,
Pacers and Bucks have played each other close, so hey, if we want to get a
also,
7-game series off those teams, I'll take it. I'm just saying.
yeah, absolutely. That'd be fun. Uh, so also during that game, Giannis, I think it was Neesmith, like grabbed him and kind of threw him down. Kind of a bad play, dirty play, and yeah, that almost led to a fight. But Donis on the bench, man, he was like so mad. He was about to like sprint onto the court and fight someone, and luckily for them, Jay Crowder grabbed him and was like holding him. It looked like it took like all of Jay Crowder's strength, and he's hurt right now, so probably not the best idea. Um, but yeah, Donis almost went and came in, and I was thinking the whole time, like, man, that's the only reason, like, why you'd want a guy like that on your team, right? like, because he needs to go defend Giannis. Like, who cares if he gets suspended, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean
like,
that's his brother, so
it looked like he was about to like murder someone, so it's probably a good thing. But at the same time, like if I'm the Bucks, like I might just let him go on the court and defend Giannis's honor there.
yeah, he'd probably immediately get ejected, and then maybe a starter gets ejected off the Pacers because he retaliates, and then
Yeah,
Pacers are down to starter while you're down to reserve. So
yeah. I
I
think
think
the game was pretty much out of hand at that
yeah,
point. But
probably okay. I didn't get to watch any of it, so but other than that, I mean, we can move on to something else, or we can keep talking about whatever else if you had anything else in mind.
yeah, let's go to who's crushing it.
All right, let's do it. You can go first.
All right, well, we'll start with the Blazers. I mean, there's two guys, of course. Anfernee Simons in the 3 games back is averaging 32 points per game, 5.3 assists, and is shooting 44 percent from the 3 point line. He's also hasn't missed a free throw this year as well. Knock on wood. So, you know, like you mentioned earlier, he struggled a little bit at the end of the Clippers game to get a basket and turn the ball over a couple times, but I think overall you're seeing the kind of player that the Blazers front office thought they had in him and thought he could be once Dame was gone. And it was a shame. We talked about this before that he got hurt and missed all those games. But I think you're seeing this not only him, but just him with Shaedon Sharpe, how special that backcourt could be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, not much is going to change for as far as our love on the Blazers. Sharpe, Simons deserve to be in that conversation, and Thibault continues to be a sniper as well.
Yeah.
So his shot is legit, man. You know, obviously there was always questions whether or not it could stay up, and so far, now obviously since he's gotten to us, and then I think he worked with Phil Beckner, I believe his name is, in the offseason. And his shot looks great. So
It's a 44 game sample size now. So.
yeah. So he's legit. He's a shooter now. So shout out to Thibault for becoming that, because obviously that was always something that kept him off the court, but he's legit now, man. So shout out to Matisse Thibault.
Yeah, and then about Sharpe. So last 5 games, 26.2 points, 6.6 rebounds, 5 assists on 67.9% true shooting percentage. And according to Basketball Reference in a tweet today, for players under the age of 21, only LeBron James has gone 25, 5, and 5 over a 5-game stretch with a higher true shooting percentage.
So you're telling me we have the next LeBron then?
Well, not quite LeBron, but just below LeBron, like
Yeah.
third best player ever instead of second.
That'd be that'd be awesome. I mean, we're all very happy with the outcome that has been from Shaedon Sharpe. So,
But just give him more shots, man.
I know. Get this man the keys, man. Obviously, Simons, continues to deserve that as well. But Sharpe, he needs it, man. He has proven this man should never go to the bench again. I don't think he will, obviously. But yeah, like Sharpe is legit, and it's almost a blessing we had so many injuries at the beginning, because Sharpe maybe could be still playing off the bench, and maybe he plays his way out of it. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a chance he would have, obviously shot himself into the starting lineup, or shot himself in the starting lineup. But yeah, he's been great, and I'm very happy to have him, because he was obviously he could have been a Raptor right now. We could have traded him for OG, but obviously Ujiri had other plans. So sorry, Toronto.
Yeah. Think they'd like a do-over on that one.
Yeah, Barnes and Sharpe would be pretty legit.
Ooh.
That would be pretty nasty, but it's not gonna happen anymore.
Yeah, I can't really think of a better young guard to put next to Barnes right now. I think those two would feed off each other. Barnes is a good passer, can break down the defense a little bit. Probably once Sharpe realizes he could cut off of Barnes' dribble drives, get a lot of lob opportunities. So, their loss.
Yeah, definitely. So who's our first one as far as Hoops crushing it?
Well, I won't steal your thunder because I know you mentioned earlier about to name this person, but so I'll just go to Luka. We've mentioned before, don't like to put players that you could put every week because like we just list off the best players in the NBA in this segment. But when they do something special or amazing, always got to mention it, in my opinion. And Luka has now 8 straight games over 30 plus points and has been crushing it lately.
Yeah, and the Lakers are said to be one of the teams that, obviously can shut down guys like Luka Doncic or play great defense on them. And last night he played great, even with them trying to do that stuff. So Luka Doncic, obviously, and piggybacking off the Dallas Mavericks. And there's a funny story that I have about Dante Exum. Obviously, has been out of the league for years, and then he randomly signs with the Mavericks on a 1-year deal. And he's been pretty good for the Mavericks this season, man. He really has been. And Dante Exum is one of the first players I ever got introduced to, because when I first started getting into the NBA, I was playing NBA 2K15. That was my first 2K I ever played. That legitimately, like, I think I've played like 2K14 at my friend's house or whatever, but owning a 2K50 was the first one. And for my people that played my career back then, Dante Exum was a huge part of the storyline for whatever reason. I have no idea why. But that's why I always have an interesting, like, there's an interesting nugget in my brain about Dante Exum. Obviously he never really turned out into anything good when he first got to the league. But hey, man, he's carved himself a role now in Dallas, it looks like. Scores 23 on us, and then last night shot like 7 of 10 from 3 or something like that, and then scores 17 in the fourth quarter, which was absolutely insane. And it's funny because I actually had his over on points, rebounds, and assists, and he absolutely crushed the line that it was at. Unfortunately, though, in that slip, Jokic gets ejected, and then Seth Curry doesn't return, so it didn't matter anyway. But yeah, Dante Exum, man, he's been killing it.
Yeah, last 3 games, including the game in Portland, he's over 21 points per game, 4.7 assists or 4.7 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and is shooting 67% from 3. That's a guy who was out of the league for a while, and that was because of his poor shooting and lack of a shot. Could always get to the rim, and was quick and physical and had good size for a guard. But if he's figured out his shooting, much like you just talked about with Thibault, uh, man, it seemed like such a wasted pickup in the offseason. Like, why are you signing Dante Exum if you're the Mavericks? Like, there's plenty of other vets you can get for the minimum that would come and play there. But that's so far one of the best like vet men signings of the offseason.
Mavericks love their overseas guys, so when they signed him,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not too surprised by this, and
hmm
he's been great, man. Because I was a little like, why? I didn't think Exum would ever be back in the league, but here he is, man. Here he is.
By the way, you've got me thinking about this. I don't remember which 2K it was, like 2K12 or something maybe. But one of them, I was on the Hawks and in my player and or my career, and um, freaking Elton Brand like asked if I wanted to go out to a club or a bar or something, and then I got drunk and got in trouble or something in the game, or like came back hungover the next day. So like it was random. Like you mentioned Dante Exum being a part of that, but I just remember Elton Brand like screwing me over in 2K12 or something like that.
Yo, 2K, my career storylines be crazy. I mean, Michael B. Jordan with the orange juice one year. Like, I haven't played my career in a couple years now, but
Yeah.
yeah, their stories be crazy, man.
Yep.
But who's your next one?
All right. So he didn't really have a good game tonight, right before we filmed, but the 3 games before this, Caleb Martin has been stepping up with Bam out, averaging 19.7 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, and 4 assists over the last 3 games without Bam. And just been playing really nice for the Heat.
I think you may have said this guy last week, but he has continued to play great. And it's Kobe White and the Bulls, man. Ever since, Levine has gone down, he has stepped up. And Chicago has been always a place where young guys leave and get better somewhere else. And it just felt like that might happen with Kobe White. They did extend him, but he never really carved out, anything great. But obviously with Levine going down, there's more opportunity to go around. And last 4 games, 27, 33, 24, and 19. I mean, and then 31 the other night. Like, he's been really good. 23 years old. This is the kind of thing you'd want to see for Chicago. And the way they respond is say, we want win now players, which to me makes no sense. That's a report that's coming out anyway. And I gotta feel
Gotta
sorry.
be Cap, man.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Like, I don't know what you're doing if you're Chicago. Like, this is, I mean, if Kobe White's going to blossom into this is exactly what we want to see. And you should continue to build off this with maybe giving, obviously some of these other young guys more opportunity, like Patrick Williams, who obviously you took over Halliburton. So, and things, a lot of teams did. So it's not just, bag on Chicago. But, I mean, Levine should never play a game in Chicago again. I think we talked about this already. And then DeRozan should be good as gone as well. And they should be doing that as soon as they possibly can, in my opinion. Chicago, just hit the reset button, man. I think even Bulls fans want that. So, Kobe White was my next one.
I'm trying to think of an example, but if they traded Levine for like D'Angelo Russell or something, and they're like, "Oh, we're really excited about Russell," and he like takes playing time for Kobe White, that'd be so dumb right now. But that's something I could see the Bulls doing.
I could see them doing that too.
So don't do that. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I put down Kobe White and Terry Rozier, both guys that I mentioned last week, and they actually, I think, had better weeks this week. So, um, had them last week, but they've been absolutely killing it. Both due to injury. Terry's been stepping up for LaMelo, Kobe for Levine being out, and yeah, both of those guys just continue to play really well. And I think Rozier, if I'm the Hornets, I'm probably looking to capitalize on his value right now and probably moving him at some point this year. But he might be playing so well they just decide to keep him and don't want to trade him too.
My last one is a superstar in the NBA, so it's not like anything crazy. But I will say this team obviously was struggling for a while, and now they're on a 5-game winning streak. That is the LA Clippers, who just beat us the other night. And Kawhi Leonard, last 3 games, been absolutely incredible. So that's just an easy one, and that was my last one. But yeah, last 3 games, 41, 34, and 31. So he's been on a huge tear, helping the Clippers turn their season around because they looked really, really bad for a while there, especially after the Harden trade. But they got something clicking now, which is good if you're the Clippers, because Ballmer, even though he doesn't have much hair, probably was pulling his hair out watching this team for a while because I invested in this, and then now it's looking a little bit better now.
Yep. Well, that's another guy who, along with Luka and Dante Exum, that part of their success was against the Blazers this week. So hopefully that trend does not continue too much longer, because we want to be talking about players having bad games against the Blazers and not being on the crushing it segment when they play Portland. My last guy is a rookie, Victor Wembanyama. This is before the game tonight, but over the last few games, he's been averaging 16 and 16 with 3.3 blocks. But tonight, they take the Lakers down to the wire. They end up losing. I can't remember how many in a row that is for them, but it's
18 now.
Without the Pistons, they would have the longest losing streak by far. And Wemby tonight, 30 and 13 with 6 blocks and 3 steals. Just an absolute monster stat line from him.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that the Spurs have lost this much in a row. It's like right along with the Pistons, man. Both teams are just historically down bad. And I know for a lot of the time it's been the Spurs, doing some experiments with Jeremy Sohan at point guard, and which has led to some Spurs fans even wanting Greg Popovich fired because he hasn't, obviously gone away from it.
Well, I think he just did.
I think they have now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, before they weren't. Which I was fine with it because, like, I know their lineup is a little fun with Sohan at point guard, but it's just not working, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not expect it. I think I predicted them to be like last in the West, but I didn't know if I expected them to be this bad.
Yeah. They're terrible. We play or the Blazers play them twice coming up later in this month, I believe. So
and that'll be rivalry week, right? Or one of them will be. Or is that
one of them? Yeah, one of them's our rival for some reason. I think they're trying to start like a Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson rivalry. So we'll see if that ever develops. I feel like the Blazers haven't really played many bad teams. I mean, they played Utah a few times, and our game tonight is against Utah, right? And it's the first time this year that the Blazers are favored in a game. It's not by much, but and I think Markkanen's going to be back for that game.
Yeah, he returned tonight on a minutes limit, I think. So.
Yeah, we'll see if he plays on a back-to-back. But Utah's coming in on the second night of a doubleheader or a back-to-back, and so that should be a game that the Blazers can win. Hopefully, Ayton plays. He's questionable still. Jeremy's still going to be out. Still hasn't cleared concussion protocol. But yeah, the Blazers, if they want to start turning the corner at some point, I think games like tomorrow or tonight against Utah, they have to start taking care of.
What do we have? A 5-game homestand the next 5 games I'm seeing. So Utah, then we welcome in the Mavericks, the Warriors, Suns, and the Wizards. So I see a few winnable games. I know you and Tori used to do this all the time, and I know Tori would say, I could see us winning the next 5 games. or something like that,
Yeah,
or whatever you would say. What do you
that
think?
drives me crazy. Yeah, I mean, we're 6-16, so I don't think we should or have to or will win any games. So yeah, I'll say we go like 2-3 or something, just over the next 5. I don't know.
Hopefully, we can beat the Jazz tomorrow. Hopefully,
Yeah.
anyway. And then the Wizards, I think, is a
Oh yeah,
team.
Wizards. Okay, and then you just got. All right. Well,
Warriors
who else
without
is?
Draymond, maybe. So that,
Yeah.
and then the Mavericks, that's gonna be tough as
Hmm.
always. And then the Suns, we probably don't beat the Suns, I imagine, with their
So
big
yeah,
three bag.
it's 2-2 with pending on the Warriors game. If we play like we did last time, feel like we could get them at home. But yeah, so 2-3 or 3-2 probably.
We haven't played in, or no, that was in preseason. I was gonna say we haven't played in Phoenix this year, right? Or maybe we did. No, we did. Oh, okay, never mind.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't remember that. But, yeah, I would say. I mean, I think we could win at least 3. Optimistically speaking, Jazz, and then Warriors and Wizards would be my prediction. I mean, I feel like we
Well,
played the Warriors good, that we could
mhm.
maybe do it again, especially if no Draymond, if Draymond's not playing, which I don't think he would be.
Honestly though, the Blazers have played well enough to win a lot of games. They
Yeah,
shouldn't.
exactly.
I don't think they've played necessarily like a 6-16 team. They just have had trouble finishing games and have way too long stretches without baskets and things like that. Their defense seems to fall apart at times as well. But yeah, I feel like they're close to maybe figuring it out, and they start to get some guys healthy, and maybe you can go on a little run towards 500 or something. But um, I don't know if they're ever going to be healthy because like it seems like there's a lot of injury prone players or players that are always kind of having something. Um, so yeah, who knows? And then, like we mentioned earlier in the show, who knows what the team looks like in a couple months when we're past the trade deadline too.
Is there anything else you wanted to get to before we move on to your prospect watch? Is there anything else?
No, I think that was pretty much covering it all.
Yeah, pretty much. Not a lot. I mean, obviously only 2 games, and then talked a little bit about the drama going on. But obviously when we get closer, like to the deadline, those episodes will be a little bit more fun too. We can talk about a lot of teams, but
We got a lot more games coming up this month
yeah,
too.
that
So
too.
like pretty
So
much every other day or some cases every day.
all right, Eric, who should we be paying attention to right now in the prospect
All right.
watch?
This week's Hoop Shop prospect of the week is Bronny James.
Oh man, just returned. I
Someone
like
you've
it.
heard of him.
Yeah,
Heard of
definitely. I've
him.
definitely heard of Brady James.
All right, so he's a freshman at USC. Um, Earlier this year, he had an incident where he went into cardiac arrest at the USC facility. Um, they managed to give him care right away, and I mean, he came pretty close to dying, which is just absolutely insane. Um, and many people wondered if he'd ever play again. So just really a good story that he was not only survived it, but was able to get back on the basketball court and play this year. I don't know how close to 100% or if he'll ever be 100% again or if it'll always be a concern. Um, but yeah, he got to play in his first college game. LeBron was there. Rob Pelinka was there too. Um, but yeah, he didn't really play a whole ton. I think he played like 16 minutes, only had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Um, he looks a little smaller than his listed height. This seems to be a theme with a lot of players right now. I feel like there's some exaggerated heights in this draft class. But the good thing is this year, or starting this year, you have to get measured either at the combine or by an NBA approved method before the draft. So we'll have true measurements on even like the top prospects who usually bow out of that. So a lot of people, his whole career, have just thought that he's just LeBron's son, and he only is going to make the NBA because of nepotism and um, that uh, he's not that good or whatever. But he's actually become a really good player, and I think he even without the LeBron being his dad aspect, I think he probably could have made the NBA. I mean, of course, it helps him to have that, but I think he could be an elite defender in the NBA. He's got all the tools to do it, except for maybe his height. Um, so yeah, if he's like 6'2", 6'3", he can pretty much only guard guards. But I think he's quick enough to do it. He's really quick on his feet. Stays in front of his man. He's one of those guys that's like a pest on defense. Gets right up into you. Is physical. Uses his hands well without fouling. And just gets a lot of steals. Pokes the ball away, and then off ball, he gets into passing lanes and gets a lot of deflections and things like that. So and he's a like really smart high IQ player as well. I think he can come into NBA and be a good defender. He doesn't have the size of like for example, like Tamani Kamara on the Blazers comes in and is a solid defender right away, but that's more because he's got kind of the physical size and tools to be a good defender along with the right mindset. So yeah, it might be a little different than that. But I think he can come in and be an effective defender right away. On offense, well, first of all, he's a decent rebounder for his size as well. And he gets the ball and can push and transition a lot. And that's where he thrives on offense. In the open floor, fast pace. He's really quick. And can get to his spots. Is a really good passer on fast breaks as well. Um, but when you get into the half court, he still has to work on it, and he's not the best ball handler, or he doesn't have a lot of shot creation in the half court. So that is definitely something he'll need to work on. With his speed and stuff, he should be able to maybe develop that a little bit. But his situation in USC is going to be interesting because he's playing with someone we've talked about before, Isaiah Collier, who's also going to be a top pick in this draft. And then they also have Boogie Ellis, who's kind of a shoot a lot type guard who monopolizes a lot of shots. But so he's basically got to hit open threes. He's going to get a lot of catch and shoot threes on that team. And that's one thing I think scouts are really going to be watching for to see if he can develop that 3-point shot to a situation where you can't leave him open. And if he does do that, I think his half court offense will improve a lot. And but I think defensively it will always be his biggest strength. But if he can just make his offense good enough to not be a liability on that end either, I think he can definitely be a solid rotation player in the NBA. But yeah, kind of an interesting prospect considering he might get drafted much higher than he is simply because teams might be trying to lure LeBron with him to play with the son.
I was about to ask because I don't. He's not like a projected lottery pick right now, is he? Or is he?
No, well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't see a single mock draft. I mean, it's kind of hard because a lot of people were waiting to see if he actually played again before putting him on there. But yeah, I think most people consider him like a borderline first round pick. But I mean, let's say you're a team like the Warriors or something. They don't have their pick, so that's a bad example. Trying to think of a team. Let me just look up real quick a good example. Um, let's say Um, well, like New York's lost it, hasn't been playing great lately. I think they're in the seed or 7th seed and might be playing in the play-in, like, would you take him at if you don't make the playoffs at, like, the end of the lottery, and then try to get LeBron to come to New York with him? Like, that might be an interesting story. Like, Miami, I could see doing that. He can go back to Miami, if they didn't make the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it's gonna kinda depend on what teams are there, but, I could definitely see a team taking him much higher than he should go, simply because of that.
This is gonna be the most craziest like recruiting a method that we've ever seen. If
Yeah.
LeBron's obviously because I've also heard him like kind of step back on that approach, saying like
Right.
how it's not fair to his son that to
Mhm.
set those expectations on him right away. So if he still does believe in I want to play with Bronny and no matter what, and that is set in stone, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Then if you're a team and like you said, like I think you're talking about the Knicks, right? If or are we talking about the Nets? I don't. You said
Well, the Knicks, I think I don't know if the Nets have their
oh yeah,
pick
the
this
Nets
year.
don't even Nets probably don't
So
even have their
it's the
pick.
Rockets pick, yeah.
So yeah, if you're a team like I don't know, any team that falls out, like it doesn't even have to be anybody great. Like if you're a team that, is in a lottery or maybe you have a 16, 17 pick and he's still on the board and you believe, drafting Bronny James gets you LeBron. I don't know. I feel like it kind of depends on what kind of team you are. I think you got to do it. Like if it gets you LeBron and you're guaranteed to get him and all you got to do is take his son in the draft, why not? I think I'd do it. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, again, it's going to depend on the team situation. I don't think you should be like Utah taking Bronny James and thinking LeBron should come to your team. And I guess LeBron could help you do something, but, um, like Cleveland, if they're in the lottery for whatever reason, even though I don't even know if they probably don't even have their own pick either. So, like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if I definitely think I would, depending on where my team was at the time.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, with what happened, there is a chance maybe he doesn't come out for the draft this year. So maybe he's ends up being in the 2025 draft instead. Definitely a possibility. And LeBron's playing so well, you'd think he still has a few more years left in him. So it doesn't necessarily have to be next season that LeBron plays with him. But I do think that at some point before LeBron hangs him up, he'd love to play at least one season with his son.
Even though LeBron teased the idea of retiring last offseason after they got swept, which a lot of people thought that was a ploy to take the pressure or take the attention away from them getting swept by Denver, but maybe he was serious about retiring. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, if the Lakers for whatever reason won a championship this year, I think that'd be great way for him to go ahead and sign off and never or just retire at that point. But obviously, he's still playing at a very high level, and he's still having fun doing it. So
Yeah.
eh, yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, Bronny James. As far as him on Portland, I don't know about that, but I've obviously seen people throw out the jersey swaps of LeBron and Bronny and Portland
Yeah.
jerseys, but I don't think that's what we should be doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe if we do have a second round pick this year, not our own, but different teams. You know, second round,
Yeah, why
might as well
not?
take a flyer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
LeBron,
LeBron here.
come to Portland, and we'll maybe make something special happen here. So.
Yeah.
LeBron, you've won two championships in stacked situations. Come prove that you can do it on a young
That's
team.
like 40 years old.
Yeah,
That's so unfair, but like those are the kind of expectations he'd get though,
yeah.
wherever he goes.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. Unless you have anything else you wanted to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate everyone for watching. Go check out all of Crushables rebuilds on his channel. And yeah, thanks for always supporting us for those that do. And if you don't mind, leave a like and also subscribe to this channel. And we get a decent amount of comments, but like want to see more people comment, talk to us, let us know how you're feeling about some of the topics we talk about, um, and all that down below. So say hi or say what's up, and Give us your opinions down in the comments.
Absolutely. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. Wrapping up episode number 10. Thank you guys for watching as always. Peace out. Go Blazers.